What if you spent 1 week in the most extraordinary city ever built? 1200 AD, the height of the Venetian Republic, the most powerful trading empire in the Mediterranean world, a city built on water, on wooden piles driven into the mud of a lagoon. Day 1. You open your eyes in a small stone room above a canal. The sound reaches you before you are fully awake. Water, the lap and slap of canal water against stone, the creak of a gondola, the distant call of a gondolier, and something else, the smell of salt and fish and wood smoke and spice, the smell of a city that trades with the entire known world. You pull on your clothes, a rough linen shirt, dark wool hose, a simple leather jerkin, leather shoes with thick soles. You are dressed as a Venetian merchant's assistant, the middle rank of Venetian society, not poor enough to beg, not rich enough to wear the silk that Venice is famous for selling to everyone else. You step outside onto a narrow stone fondamenta, the walkway beside the canal, and Venice hits you. Not the Venice of postcards and gondola photographs, the real Venice. Loud, crowded, smelling strongly of fish and tidal water and the particular damp that comes from building an entire city on water. A city where nothing is level. The stones beneath your feet slightly tilted by centuries of settlement. The doorways slightly askew, the walls slightly leaning. A city slowly sinking into the mud from which it rose. Day 2. You take a gondola. This is not the romantic experience of the postcards. This is the Venetian equivalent of taking a bus. A working gondola operated by a gondolier who expects payment and has no interest in your feelings about the canal smell. The gondola is flat and low and surprisingly stable, propelled by a single oar worked from the stern with the specific technique that takes years to master. The city passes on both sides. The narrow calle, the alleyways of Venice, visible as dark gaps between the stone buildings, some so narrow you could touch both walls simultaneously, stone bridges arching over the smaller canals, doorways opening directly onto the water, wells and small stone campi, the open spaces that serve Venice in place of streets, cats everywhere, the cats of Venice moving between the buildings like a second city. You pass under the Rialto Bridge, not the stone bridge of later centuries, but its wooden predecessor, a drawbridge that could be raised to allow tall-masted ships to pass. The Grand Canal on both sides of the Rialto is the commercial heart of the city, merchants' palazzi lining both banks, their water-level floors designed as warehouses, their piano nobile, the noble floor above, displaying the wealth that the warehouse below produces. Day 3. The Rialto Market, the most important commercial square in the medieval world. Every morning the market opens and Venice buys and sells the world. Spices from Alexandria, pepper from India, cinnamon from Ceylon, nutmeg from the Banda Islands so far away that most Venetians cannot locate them on a map but know their price to the quarter ounce. Silk from China carried along the Silk Road through Persia and then shipped from Acre or Alexandria to Venice. Glass from the Venetian island of Murano, the glassmakers sworn to secrecy about their techniques under penalty of death, their families held hostage to ensure they never leave the island with their knowledge. Leather from Morocco, furs from Russia, cotton from Egypt. Venice does not make most of what it sells. Venice is a middleman, the most profitable middleman in human history. It takes the goods of the East and sells them to the West. It takes the goods of the West and sells them to the East. And it takes a percentage of everything in both directions. A Venetian merchant shows you his accounts, his handwriting in a clear mercantile script, his numbers in the Arabic numerals that Venice was among the first European cities to adopt, because Arabic numerals are better for accounting, and Venetian merchants adopt whatever is better for accounting. Day 4. The Arsenal, the greatest industrial facility in the medieval world. A walled complex covering 60 acres in the eastern part of the city, where Venice builds its ships, not one ship at a time, an entire fleet simultaneously, on an assembly line that prefigures the Industrial Revolution by 500 years. Standardized parts, specialized workers, a production line that moves the ship's hull from station to station as different teams add different components. Masts here, rigging there, oars and armaments at the final station. A fully equipped warship, a galley, produced in one day when the arsenal is running at full capacity, one ship per day. The Doge of Venice, the elected head of state, can wake up in the morning knowing that if he needs 20 new warships by next week, the arsenal will produce them. Day 5. The Council of 10. Venice is not a democracy. It is not a monarchy. It is something the medieval world has never seen before and will not see again for centuries. An oligarchic republic. The Doge is elected, the Great Council governs, the Senate legislates, and the Council of 10, the Secret Security Council, watches everything. The Council of 10 knows everything that happens in Venice. They have informers everywhere. There are stone lion heads mounted on walls throughout the city. The Bocche di Leone, the mouths of lions, with a slot in the mouth into which any Venetian can anonymously deposit a written accusation against any other Venetian. Anonymous denunciation, state-sponsored, constantly monitored. You pass one of the lion mouths in a stone wall. You look at the slot. You think about what has been dropped into it over the centuries. Day 6. Evening in Venice. The city transforms. The merchants close their counting houses. The arsenal falls silent. The market empties. And something else takes over. Music from the water. Torchlight on the canal surfaces. The sound of voices in the narrow calle. Venice in 1200 AD is at the height of its power and knows it. The city has just completed the Fourth Crusade, which Venice organized and financed and redirected for its own commercial advantage, ending not in Jerusalem but in Constantinople, which the Crusaders sacked in 1204, taking everything of value and giving Venice preferential trading rights throughout what had been the Byzantine Empire. Venice has just become the most powerful trading state in the Mediterranean. And tonight, the city celebrates with the particular Venetian combination of genuine joy and complete commercial calculation. You sit at a table in a stone courtyard, a small campo, with a cup of wine that came from Greece on a Venetian ship, and bread made from grain that came from the Black Sea on another Venetian ship, and you watch the city enjoy itself. The wine is excellent. The bread is excellent. Everything in Venice is excellent because Venice can get anything from anywhere. Day 7. Before dawn, you climb to the top of the Campanile, the bell tower of St. Mark's, and look out over Venice. The city spread below in the pre-dawn darkness, the Grand Canal catching the first faint light of dawn. The Basilica of St. Mark's below the tower, with its gold mosaics barely visible in the darkness. The Doge's Palace. The lagoon stretching in every direction with the lights of fishing boats on the dark water. And beyond the lagoon, the mainland, the solid ground that Venice deliberately rejected when it chose water, the ground that Venice's founders fled when the barbarian invasions made the mainland unsafe, the ground that Venice looked at for 700 years and decided it was doing fine without. You think about what Venice chose, the impossible location, the mud, the floods, the constant maintenance of a city built on wooden piles and salt water, the smell, the expense, and what Venice got from that choice. The most beautiful city in human history, the most powerful trading empire of the medieval Mediterranean, the arsenal, the Rialto, the glass, the bookkeeping, the Republic, all of it built on water, all of it built on the refusal to accept what everyone else accepted as the natural order of things. The dawn breaks over the lagoon. Follow Empirico. History lived, 1 week at a time.